Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 352 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Friday, September 6th, 2024. Pleased to be joined once again by Chris Perkins from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, host of the Dolphins Deep Dive with Perk. It's got his name on it. He better be the host. And all-around good guy. See way too much of him, though, but that's nothing personal, Perk. Good to see you again. Not in person, but laptop to laptop.
When am I getting my extension?
Come
on.
You get an extension. You get an extension.
Come on.
Very well done. I'm going to give a heart to that. That was very well done. Great lead into the main topic of this conversation, which, of course, is the Jaylen Ramsey contract extension. There's also a little hamstring issue that he's dealing with. And then part of the final injury report for week one of this Dolphins 2024 season. And then we'll see what else we can discuss. We're going to get Mr. Perkins' final prediction. Mine will come out on Miami Dolphins on SI, the website, which is that.com, on Saturday morning. And then programming alert, Dave Hyde is going to be the guest tomorrow on Saturday. I'm going to get his prediction for the game, and then I will throw out mine at that time. But I do think actually it's got the makings of a very, very interesting game. Certainly one better than New England at Cincinnati, which should not have been the choice for the number 2 game in the for CBS on Sunday, and certainly better than the number 1 game for Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, which is Las Vegas at the LA Chargers. I get Jim Harbaugh, his first game as a head coach, but once you see him on the sideline once or twice, he's not playing in the game. So am I right?
You are 100% right, but names, right?
Yep, that's a good point. But again,
Harbaugh, Herbert.
Yeah, but who watches for
the Raiders?
Who watches for a coach? I mean, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Raiders. And is Trevor Tua not a much more, enticing quarterback matchup than Herbert Minshew? I mean, seriously. Okay. So we're not here to talk about the Bengals, the Patriots, the Raiders, or the Chargers. We're here to talk about the Dolphins and the big news again on Friday. 3-year contract extension for Jaylen Ramsey, $72 million, or the average is 24.1, which will put him at number 1. If you're going by the average of the 3-year extension, number 1 among highest paid cornerbacks in the NFL, regaining that claim. By the way, here's a nice trivia question I just thought of. Not a trivia question, but a fun fact. Mm-hmm. A fun Fins fact.
All right.
He will now become the 3rd different Dolphin cornerback to be the highest paid player of this position since the start of the 2020 season. Mm-hmm. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, and now Jaylen Ramsey.
Yeah, nice.
It pays to pay cornerback for the Miami Dolphins.
I like that. Look, I like the Ramsey extension. I don't like the Ramsey hamstring situation. The Ramsey extension, it's well-deserved. This is a guy who's a future Hall of Famer. This is a guy who this training camp, I thought he was absolutely fantastic before he got injured. We've talked about this, that his leadership was apparent. He was attacking the ball in the run and the pass. He was setting a good example for vets, for older players, for coaches, for everybody. I really, really liked what Jaylen Ramsey was doing until he got the hamstring injury. And that is a major, major issue. But in a land where everybody got the contract extensions, or all the important people, or everybody that matters, however you want to say it, for the Dolphins, the one that I like the most is the one that just got done, Jaylen Ramsey, and then the Tyreek Hill restructure. Love those 2 deals.
Sounds like a shot at Tua and Jalen Waddle here.
No shot at all. Seriously, no shot at all. It's just, Jaylen Ramsey and Tyreek are future Hall of Famers. And these are guys who are essential personnel on the Dolphins, and whether they won a playoff game or not, I would pay those dudes. It's that simple.
Here's the caveat I'm going to throw in there, and then after that, by all means, tell me I'm crazy, I'm a loony, whatever you want to say. Here's another fun fact. I wouldn't call necessarily a fun Fins fact, but a fun fact that Jaylen Ramsey already restructured his contract earlier this season in March to clear up cap space. What the Dolphins did is they converted salary into a signing bonus, and his contract got 3 years of void years tacked on at the end of it. to spread out the signing bonus and the cap hit of the said signing bonus to lower his cap number for 2024. He was signed through 2025. And what's Jaylen Ramsey, 30, 29, that neighborhood?
It'll be 30 in October, I believe, is the situation. I think that's right.
Okay. And again, I'm going to preface what I'm saying here because I read it in the comments. It's not my money. Why do I care? I care because my job is to analyze the Miami Dolphins, what they do on the field, what they do in the front office, and all that. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to decide all of a sudden, well, we're not going to talk about this because it doesn't affect me, well, then what's the point? So yes, part of the podcast is to debate, discuss, and break down the issues of the day, and this is the issues of the day. So for those who don't like it, sorry. So having said that, to me, my whole thing, and this is a discussion I had with you as we were walking out to practice on Friday, is it's an awful lot of major contracts given out to players for a team that, let me check my notes here. Yeah, still hasn't won a playoff game since 2000.
I agree with you on that. Here's how I accept that, and here's how I resolve that in my mind. Number one, no, it's not my money, but that's beside the point. This is how the Dolphins choose to run their organization. Steve Ross is happy. He's never made this much money. He's never been more relevant with the Dolphins, I'm talking about. He's got people in charge who are not having a lot of infighting in the building, right? We remember the days of Dennis Hickey and Jeff Ireland Wright and Don Aponte, right? Everybody kind of, telling Steve Ross, hey, he did this, she did this, he said this. All that stuff is gone. I think with this Dolphins organization, there's more to football than winning. And I think that's what these contract extensions show. Now, whether you agree with that, I think a lot of old school people, this is a shock that, right, why are you rewarding people when they haven't won a playoff game? But kind of the new thing is, the NFL is as much a TV show as it is a sport. And the Dolphins are the perfect made-for-TV team, right? It's why I wrote the column. They're the most likable team in the NFL, right? That they don't take political stances. There's a couple of them.
Unless they're asked.
Well, there's no like Kenny Stills here, right? There's no Harrison Butker, no high-profile, objectionable people.
Social justice, a political stance.
Social justice, but that's
Kenny Stills.
That's back. That's old. That's like in the Kenny Stills days.
I know, but you brought up Kenny Stills. I'm saying, what is social justice a political stance?
Steve Ross isn't doing that anymore, is he? He stopped that.
Oh, Ross. You just went in a different direction. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, here's what I'm saying: that nobody hates the Dolphins. There's no Dolphins fatigue like there is with the Kansas City Chiefs. There's no Jerry Jones out there all the time. I think the Dolphins and the Detroit Lions are probably the two most likable teams. I'm not sure that Baltimore has a big liking. I'm not sure that, maybe San Francisco is in there with Brock Purdy. They're fairly likable, but I'm not sure that Philly is likable. I just think the Dolphins are fun. They're entertaining. They score. They have the touchdown sellies. Mike McDaniel is the cool coach. He's a stand-up comedian during his press conferences. They're on prime time, 5 games. I think everybody likes this team. Steve Ross is happy. The fans are happy. Pay these guys. I don't. It's not my money. I agree with the person and the people who say that, but it is our job. Here's how I view our job. Like during the season, I hate the off season. Okay, I hate it. But the off-season gives you insight into the way the people think, what's important to them, how they build their team, the philosophy. If I'm a fan, I would care more because I'm paying my ticket prices and I'm paying my money for apparel. I don't have any Dolphins apparel. I don't pay to go to the games. But I do care about the offseason and care to monitor them and all that kind of stuff. If this is the way Steve Ross wants to build his franchise, I will voice some objections, but in the end, I'm not mad at him. That's what he chooses to do.
Oh no, dude, I'm not mad.
No, I know you're not mad. I'm just saying as a bottom line that I'm going to voice. It's not exactly what I would do, but yeah, I'm not. More power to him.
No, I'm kind of putting myself in the shoes of the fan here, like a true fan. Again, for those who are not clear on this, if you're a first-time watcher of this podcast, we're journalists. Okay,
Yep.
We want the Dolphins to win because it's more fun to cover a winning team, and it's better for me for business as I'm the operator of the site MiamiDolphinsOnTheSite.com. So yeah, I want them to win, but
Yep.
I'm not like a hardcore fan who's going to I can't sleep at night because they lost.
Right.
But looking out for the fans, I'm wondering whether fans are okay with having a very entertaining team, which is relevant, but perhaps there's a feeling of complacency of like we're at a good point here, whether this is okay as an end point or whether we want to win a Super Bowl. And I don't know. And I'm not saying the Dolphins don't want to do that. Right. And because it's a combination of they're happy with where they are and be also a belief that the core that they have decided on is going to be good enough to take that next level. And that may be the only reason that they weren't able to accomplish their goals the past 2 seasons was injuries. And I've maintained all along these injuries absolutely were a factor, but I refuse to believe that or refuse to say that it was the only factor.
I agree with you. I agree with what you said and the stance you speak from for the fans. And that's kind of my perspective also. Here's, I wrestle with this a lot, Poop. And I'm kind of thinking that the NFL, I'm kind of thinking it's an old school versus new school thing, that the old NFL fan, like myself, maybe like you, is about winning. And the new school NFL fan is like, we want you to win, but we understand everybody can't win a Super Bowl. So if you don't win a Super Bowl, at least entertain me. And I think that's the way a lot of college football is, with the tailgating and with the alums. And it's like, if you're a North Carolina fan, maybe you can luck up and do something 1 year. But for the most part, your thing is basketball, right? Football, we want to just go have a good time. I'm wondering if Dolphins fans and then this is no rip or slight to Dolphins fans. I wonder if Dolphins fans are kind of coming around to that side. I wonder if NFL fans are coming around to that side. I wonder if the new school sports fan is coming along to that side. Everybody can't win the Super Bowl. And if just give me a true, honest effort. And if you come up short, at least entertain me and make me feel good about the product. That's kind of how I think this Dolphins team is right now. And I think every fan is not okay with it. I don't know what the percentage is. That's what I struggle with, Poop. Is this a 50-50 thing? Do 70% of them say, screw that, I'll go for the Super Bowl, or 70% like make a true effort to go for the Super Bowl, but if you come up short, entertain me? I don't know, but I know that my thing and the hardcore old school fan says don't reward people for, not winning playoff games. Reward them after they win a playoff game. Times are changing, and I think Dolphins fans are changing, and I think Steve Ross has clearly changed because I don't know if he's changed, but he's happy with the way things are right now. And I do think Steve Ross is paying them because he has faith that they will win a Super Bowl and that they're on track to win a Super Bowl. I don't think he's just paying them because they're fun to watch. He really wants to win a Super Bowl, right? This is the guy who went after John Harbaugh, the guy who had interest in Sean Payton and Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson. Like, he doesn't even know. He's just, whatever I have to do to win, I want to win. And this is where he's at right now.
Okay, my turn.
Yes, do it.
No, and this is where I'm going to take a step back here and say that in a big picture, these are good days. These are good times to be a Dolphins fan, because the team absolutely is fun to watch.
Yep.
It is also relevant. Yep. It also goes into every season now with good possibilities. I was looking around the NFL the other day. Maybe, I don't know, I could eliminate 12 or 13 teams from Super Bowl contention. To me, like, immediately, if you have a rookie quarterback, sorry, not happening. And if you have like a subpar quarterback or severe holes on the roster, for example, who was it? Las Vegas Raiders. No offense, Gardner Minshew. You're not going to the Super Bowl. There were other, and I don't want to just pinpoint this guy because there were other quarterbacks. Steelers, and I have the utmost respect for Mike Tomlin as the head coach, but you're not going to the Super Bowl with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Sorry, not happening. So by that process, and then there are 5 rookie quarterbacks starting, or whatever the number is, 4. You and the Dolphins clearly are in that group of teams that, if things go right, yes, they could. So it's a good place to be, especially considering where they were a few years ago. So yes, I appreciate where the Dolphins are as a franchise, but I want that for you guys, fans. Okay, fine, for their website too, because it's going to make a little bit more money. But for you, mostly for you, for the fans, a Super Bowl title, been a long time. Hell, a playoff win or AFC Championship game appearance, because we don't talk about this. That hasn't been mentioned, but 1992 was the last time. Yep. And I'm no math major, but sounds to me like 32 years ago. That's a long time. So, and again, not my money. And in the grand scheme of things, the Dolphins are doing a lot more things right than they're doing wrong. I just don't get the urgency to keep throwing money with guys who have 2 years left. And Jaylen Ramsey wasn't up for until the end of 2025. So anyway, that's just me. Okay, let's move on to the bigger issue with Jaylen Ramsey in the immediate focus. That's his hamstring. He was back at practice finally on Friday for the first time since I think everybody has agreed among the media members that it was the day before the Tampa Bay joint practice, which would make it August 20th. And that's 3 weeks ago. I asked him after the game if he thought he'd be ready to go, and he kind of in a very roundabout way said he wasn't sure. It's going to come down. I'm going to have to talk to the trainers. And then the issue of having a game. Oh, and I got a great trivia question for you here. The issue of having a game 5 days after the fact against the Buffalo Bills, which is a division opponent. No, I mean, on top of that, the team that you're trying to chase down could be a factor. Injury report came out. He's listed as questionable, which is the second he practiced, you knew he was going to be questionable, and then probably going to be, game day decision on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll say this for the fans. When the little bit that we saw of Jaylen Ramsey today at practice, during the part of practice that media is allowed to watch.
Very nicely done.
You like that, right?
Yes.
We did see him running short distances, like maybe 5-7 yards, and stopping and then backpedaling and changing direction. He looked fine with all that, which is a good first step. That's very different than covering, Gabe Davis, but it's a good first step. So, having said that, if there's any doubt, I'm holding Jaylen Ramsey out. I'm sorry. Yes, there's the Buffalo game 4 days later, but not only that, there are 16 games after this game, and including that Buffalo game and possibly playoffs, right? So you've got to think of the big picture here. And here's the other thing. The Dolphins have to just find a way. Like, I know Jaylen Ramsey being out is major. Tua being out 2 years ago was major. All of the, Jalen Phillips, but you got to find a way to win. You've got to find a way, and other guys have to do more. The offense has to do more if Jaylen Ramsey isn't out there. It's the excuse of, well, Jaylen Ramsey isn't out there. I'm sorry, that doesn't fly. Win the game. I would hold Jaylen out if there's any question, because there's a bigger picture here, but don't go into this Jacksonville game thinking, Jaylen Ramsey is out. I agree with that sentiment 100%. Dude's a future Hall of Famer. It's going to hurt. It's going to leave a mark. Find a freaking way to win the game.
Okay, I agree. Before we talk about contingency plans, if he can't play, here's my trivia question for you.
Yes.
This is the second time the Dolphins opened with Sunday, Thursday. Because it would make for boring podcasting, television, whatever this is. Can you name the first? Any idea? If you come within 5 years, you'll win. Go ahead. You have 3 seconds.
Wow.
Come on.
2017.
Not even close.
All right.
Enough. It happened in 1981. Before Thursday Night Football was a weekly thing. They would throw in sporadic Thursday night games. And that year, the Dolphins opened at St. Louis. And then they played a Thursday night game against the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Orange Bowl, won 30-10. Big play of the game was a punt return by Tom Vigorito. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the history lesson for today. How about that, huh?
Man, Tommy Vigorito. Man.
Tommy Vigorito.
Wow.
Okay, so contingency plans. I think the reflex reaction is to say Ethan Bonner goes, if this is obviously if Ramsey doesn't play, the reflex reaction is to say Ethan Bonner lines up outside cornerback opposite Kendall Fuller. Here's another possibility. It could be you elevate Nick Needham from the practice squad, make him the slot corner, move Kader Kohu to outside cornerback. Or, and this is after Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator, told us, do not sleep on this guy. Maybe your slot corner, if they move Kader to outside cornerback, could be Elijah Campbell. And this is a guy who looked really good this summer. And looked really good, was it last summer or 2 summers ago, and then kind of faded a little bit because he got dinged up. And then this summer and in the preseason, the dude was really good.
Yeah. Elijah Campbell. Yeah, Elijah was somebody that that Anthony Weaver mentioned. If Jaylen Ramsey does not play, Nick Needham is coming up, and he might play before anybody else because they obviously, with Nick being on practice squad, they didn't have that much faith in him or whatever. You're right. I mean, the plans weren't that big for him or whatever. I trust Nick Needham. I haven't seen Ethan Bonner out there, and that's no slight on Ethan Bonner in any way. It's just I trust experience. I trust people who have done it already. And so that's why I would go more with Nick Needham, more with Elijah Campbell. And even Saran Neal, he's a special teams guy. He was not right. He was not trustworthy out there. He gave up a lot of big plays in joint practices. I don't know if he did in the games, but in practice and in joint practices. So my first move would be, or my first person I would turn to is Nick Needham, honestly.
Yeah, and I know, like, let me say this as politely and respectfully as possible. I know there's a big swell of support because it's a great story and all that, but Ethan Bonner, his entire NFL experience consists of 11 snaps on defense last year in the regular season. And then he got a little bit more playing time in the playoffs, which was, let me see if I can find it quickly here. So 11, let me look at my game logs here real quick. Yep. So anyway, the bottom line with him is this is a guy who's got very, very, very little experience. So right. I think, and he played 11 snaps also in the playoff game. So you're talking about 22 snaps total. Yep. Again, this is where the story might be better than the reality at this particular point. It's not to say that he can't become a good cornerback in the NFL at some point, I think. And of course, Anthony Weaver said, if we have full confidence in those guys. If we didn't, they wouldn't be on the roster. Sure. But ideally, you'd rather have somebody with some sort of experience, unless you're looking at a higher rookie first round pick or something to that effect. So that would be my guess. The other injury of note heading into this season opener is wide receiver Malik Washington dealing with a quad injury after being limited Wednesday and Thursday. He did not practice on Friday and then, not surprisingly, was ruled out for the game. The Dolphins right now, that would leave them with 4 wide receivers: Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Braxton Berrios, and Grant Dubose, the player they claimed off waivers from Green Bay, who is going to be, to me, heavily involved with the special teams. I don't imagine he's going to do a whole lot on offense, if at all. So the question becomes, are the Dolphins comfortable with going with 3 really wide receivers for their offense, knowing that Tanner Conner and Jonnu Smith have kind of wide receiver-ish skills, or will they elevate either Robbie Chosen or Eric Ezukama from the practice squad? Your guess on that one?
I think you have to elevate somebody just in case there's an injury so that you aren't really caught off guard in that situation. So that's what I would expect them to do. By the way, do you think this means Braxton Berrios is your punt returner? Because I think Malik Washington was going to be your punt returner. We think Braxton will be your kickoff returner. And I think I think that it was a dual kickoff return, right? Malik and Braxton were deep. So you've got some special teams roles to fill with Malik being out.
I would highly suspect we might see Devon Achane, or I want to say Jaylen Wright, except Jaylen Wright's has been wearing a compression sleeve on his right leg every time we've seen him the past week, I want to say.
Yeah.
So that could be a factor involved there. Braxton Barrios, without question, is going to be the punt returner, and he'll be one of the two guys deep in the kickoffs. And again, we got our first glimpse at it last night with the Baltimore-Kansas City game. If you saw Harrison Butker from the Chiefs put the ball in the end zone every time, and it's okay, go ahead, Baltimore started at the 30. And this is where the idea of the new rule is great. It's created, looks like a couple more returns, but as Danny Crossman has mentioned, the Dolphins special teams coordinator, you're going to see a lot of teams just going to kick it in the end zone and give the other team the ball at the 30, because it's not that egregious for a defensive starting point, and you eliminate the possibility of a long return. If the NFL wanted to put the play back in circulation, why don't you move the kickoff back 5 yards, the kickoff point, so it's not so easy for kickers to get the ball into the end zone.
Let me ask you something, Poop. If the Dolphins do that, if they kick it out of the end zone, or into the end zone, through the end zone, however you want to phrase it, and Jacksonville does that also, is that advantage Dolphins? Are the Dolphins better served starting at the 30 with that electric offense, or is their defense stressed? Or are you guaranteed to give up at least a field goal? I think the Dolphins are. I think it's advantage Dolphins. I trust their offense to at least get 3 more than I trust their defense to at least give up 3. And I think their offense has a better chance of getting a touchdown than most other offenses. I think it's slight advantage Dolphins. What do you think? Is there an advantage either way?
Well, based on recent history, it's advantage Dolphins, because if they can put the ball in the end zone, they don't have to worry about their kickoff coverage team, which has been leaky at times.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So, and I think we remember a couple of plays. So, and having said that, the Dolphins were conscious of their special teams in the offseason and in putting their roster together, which is why they got Saran Neal, because we kind of Saran, but we kind of knocked his DB play. But the dude is excellent on special teams. That's why the Dolphins went on and signed him. Tanner Connor, I know Mike McDaniel praised his knowledge of the offensive playbook while talking about how we made the 53-man roster, but I got news for you. He also made the 53-man roster because of his special teams contributions, especially over Eric Ezukama. So there's our 2 guys there, and there are others. Channing Tindall might be on the team because of special teams as well. So the hope is that the special teams will be better, but if you're the Dolphins, if you give the Dolphins the option right now of every drive for each team starts at the 30, they're going to say, well, we have the better offense than you do, so sure, sign us up.
Yep.
So I think that's good there. Another thing that we noticed from that Baltimore-Kansas City game, which, by the way, as somebody who suffers from massive CFS, was very dispiriting, was the last play of the game. It's like, oh my God, the Ravens did it, and no, they didn't. And by the way, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Would the world really be a much worse place if there were no instant replay involved, and that touchdown had stood even with replay showing it was microscopically really not a touchdown because the tip of his toes touched the end line? Would the world really be a worse place if there was no replay? And it would be? Okay.
Yep, it would be. It would be.
Okay.
It would be.
Erase.
It will be. Hey, Kevin Durant had a toe over the line against Milwaukee. I mean, it's the rules are the rules. I like instant replay. It's clumsily executed sometimes, but let's get it right.
Okay,
let's get the call right.
Okay, and in the instant last night, it didn't bother me nearly as much as it usually bothers me, because you seem to have clear evidence that the initial call was wrong, and it didn't take 5 minutes to make the rule. The ones where I can't stand and I lose my crap, excuse the expression, is when they take 5 minutes to make the call and they come back with a call and you're like, Really? That's what you said? It's
Right. Right.
and to me, I would accept replay if it was like you have 45 seconds to find
Yeah.
clear evidence that the call was wrong. If you can't find 45 seconds, guess what? The call maybe wasn't so egregiously wrong. So leave it.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know how many years we are down the line of instant replay. As I recall, it was in and then it was out, and now it's back in permanently. But I like it. I like the idea. The execution isn't always great. I'm with you on that standpoint. Like we need to have this process a lot more smooth. We're like 2 decades into it or whatever. We've got all kinds of technology. Let's do something. Tennis and soccer, they're all smooth. Let's catch up.
Yeah, nothing can match tennis though, because you
Right.
literally have a computer telling you where the ball landed, so you
Yep.
can see within like 5 seconds whether.
Yep.
So but it can't be matched. Anyway, that's my little rant. Anyway,
Yes.
the other thing that stood out in that Baltimore KC game, of course, was flag, illegal formation number 7. What number is Ronnie Stanley?
8-5.
79 offense. I want to say 79.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. 79 offense. And it was like, oh, are we serious with this? So I asked Teron Armstead and I asked Austin Jackson actually today in the Dolphin locker room about, the emphasis on that. And Teron was like, it felt bad he said he felt bad for Ronnie Stanley, and then said he didn't want to say anything about the refs, bad about the refs, because he likes his pocketbook. Austin told me something interesting, that last year there was an occurrence where the ref basically told him, you need to move up, here's your warning. And that the next time he was going to get a flag. And it's like, and I know from watching the game, and again, maybe it's my Chiefs bias or the CFS acting up, one of the symptoms and makes me make irrational comments. But it sure looked to me through my naked eye that the Chiefs did the same thing a couple of times and weren't flagged for it. And then Baltimore was like, flag city. But the Dolphins are conscious of it, and so hopefully they don't get a flag for one of those things.
2 things on that. Number one, Cam Wolf was telling us that he had talked to a couple of people, and from what he could glean was Ronnie Stanley was standing upright, and so his head is further back. Kansas City's tackles are in a 3-point stance. Their head is further forward, and so their head is up closer to the center's butt. And when Ronnie Stanley is standing up in pass blocking in a 2-point stance, he's back here. So his head is going to be back a little bit more. I don't know if that's true or not. Here's what I think it needs to come to, Poop. The offensive tackle needs to be able, like the wide receiver checks with the ref, right? Hey, that's what needs to happen. And that needs to happen Sunday with the Dolphins, with Austin Jackson and Teron Armstead. They need to talk to the refs before the game. Hey, I'm going to point to you every now and then, and will you tell me if I'm onside? Will you hook me up? Will you help me out? I don't think that's illegal. The receivers do it. Maybe it is for the tackles, but if I'm Austin Jackson and Teron Armstead, I'm trying to come up with a solution along those lines, because I'm sure Ronnie Stanley, you're just in auto mode, right? This is what I've done for years. You're not thinking, oh, I got to get my head. I got this guy. You're not thinking of that. So hopefully the Dolphins can come up with something in advance and not get those flags thrown and have to adjust midstream. But yeah, if you could check with the ref, anything other than drawing, what do you get? 4 flags, 3 flags, whatever it was.
Something like that. No, I agree with you. And speaking of the Dolphin offensive line, before we get to our final topic of the day, Mike McDaniel confirmed or revealed that indeed it will be Lee Meikenberg at right guard for the Dolphins. So your starting offensive line is going to be Teron Armstead, Robert Jones, Aaron Brewer, Lee Meikenberg, Austin Jackson. We will close with Mr. Perkins' prediction. My prediction will come tomorrow. Did I say that already? I may have said that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you made me do
I'm old. I forget things. If I said it, I apologize. But Mr. Perkins right now is going to give us his prediction. Mine will be coming tomorrow after it appears on the website, Miami Dolphins on SI.com, where right now I think that we have 8 stories for the day. There's a 9th one coming. So please check it out. Also check out Perk's work and that of his colleague, David Furones, at sunsentinel.com. Without further ado, Chris Perkins, since the last time we talked until after the game, What is your prediction?
My prediction, I am going Dolphins 27, Jacksonville 23. These are two teams that have so many things in common, Poop. Not only are they both in Florida and both AFC teams, they both hope to win 10 games, win a playoff game. Both quarterbacks have had extensions. Both offensive lines are looked at suspiciously. Both teams have new defensive coordinators. Both teams have a head coach in the third year. Both teams are at the top of off-season spending, right? Because Jacksonville extended Josh Hines-Allen and Trevor Lawrence and Tyson Campbell. We know who the Dolphins have extended. A lot in common. A lot in common with these two teams, but in the end, the Dolphins 13-4 at home under Mike McDaniel. I believe they're 7-1 in September under Mike McDaniel, I believe. But I'm going Dolphins. Even if Jaylen Ramsey does not play, I am going Dolphins.
Something else they have in common. Dolphins 2 years ago started off 8-3.
Oh, yes.
Wound up 9-8. Last year, Jacksonville started off 8-3, wound up 9-8.
And look, and Tennessee ruined both of their seasons last year because the Dolphins could have had the home playoff game, and then Tennessee beat Jacksonville in the finale. Jacksonville finishes 9-8, misses the playoffs. So a lot in common with these teams.
How about that? Okay.
How about that?
On that brilliant note, I mean, we can't top it, so might as well close this episode. So we will thank you once again, as always, Senor Perkins. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And we will catch you guys tomorrow. Until then, have a great evening. Thanks, Perk.